What is going on, everyone? My name's Boit, and as you can see, I'm not talking in the photo because this is a poster recording of a series that I played against an incredibly strong Age of Mythology player who goes by the name of Batuhann. This was a part of a show match hosted by Punkstar. He's got a YouTube channel, I believe, and definitely has a Twitch channel. So if you want to go watch this series in its entirety, I would recommend going over and checking out his stuff. He's a British fellow, very, very exciting individual to watch, and I think is going to be a wonderful asset to the Age Mythology competitive community. So a little bit about this. This is not really a series. I'm probably not going to play too many seriously competitive games in the future. I'm going to get into more of that later after a couple of games in this series. It's a 7-game series, and it was, I believe the rules were you can't play the same god that you win with. So best of 7, effectively in these situations, you can get away with playing 4 different gods total, and finding yourself winning the series. There was 50 euros on the line, and yeah, that's kind of the vibes. Just gonna be talking about some of my thought process and basically whatever I feel like through this kind of series. Have a little watch and maybe even learn something from how bad my gameplay can be. I honestly, I don't look at my own gameplay very often. It's not something that gives me a whole lot of joy as we see the first veto in this series at 1 minute and 29 seconds. I very much dislike vetoes. I think vetoes are a net negative to a competitive environment, and they're only there as a after effect of maps that used to be really, really bad. So way back in like 2003 or even up to 2010 or 11 or even 2015, if we think that far ahead, before Vibly Balance Patch came in, before some map editing came in. If you look at the Ensemble Studios maps, they were incredibly imbalanced. So there was a fairly necessary, or there was a need for vetoes and things of that nature. So my opponent vetoed on that map because I got the better of him on the water. I'm not sure how much fish was there. I knew that there was 3 fish underneath that dock, and I took 2 of them, which was really good for me. Means that I'm going to have an advantage going forward, and he didn't want to risk that maybe there was another pond or something weird was going on there, so he just called the veto, which is good because at the very least it's mega random. So we're going to spawn in on a completely different map and have to completely rethink the game plan. But it's also a little bit annoying because now you have to reset, and you can kind of see that I got a little bit of nerves. Not going to lie, I'm not. I am experienced kind of in tournament setting. I think I've played a fair few tournament games, but it doesn't matter the tournament. It doesn't matter what it is. If something's on the line that actually has some tangibility to it, I get nervous. And you can see here that I accidentally hunt deleted my deer there, and that was a little bit too tilting for me, and I was like, look, I'm just going to throw my veto out. Maybe we'll get a water map. I would much rather play Ra on water against Odin than play land against Odin. There's a lot of things you have to watch out for in Odin gameplay, and I really don't know what Batuhann's style is. I know that I've had some issues against like Soup in the past, so I just thought, look, it's not going to be an ideal map for me because I hunt deleted my deer. It was a 900 food spawn, and now it's a 750 food spawn, which if you kind of follow my build order guides, you'll realize that this is not something that it's not like it's a bad thing. You can still get through it. It's just that you have a slightly worse advance time than otherwise. So going for that veto there, I don't have a veto, but after this map, I really don't think it's going to matter. This map is kind of the only one that a veto should actually matter on, in my opinion, so may as well throw it away on this one. I believe there was 1 veto for the entire 7-game series. So now we can spawn in on the actual game that we played. Now, unfortunately, I don't get the map that I want. I don't get the water map. There is like I think it's something like a 20% chance or a 30% chance that a water map will spawn. It's pretty low, well, comparably, and the odds are not in my favor for that kind of thing, nonetheless. But we're playing Odin playing Ra versus Odin here. And I have a couple of things that I want to scout the map for and try and make a decision on. So first things first, I want to see essentially what sort of a hunt map is. And I see already that there's a ton of boar, there's a ton of deer, there's a ton of caribou. So this is already giving me a fairly big idea that things are not going to be too easy for me if I want to go for a farm strategy here. So now my next port of call is thinking, okay, so it's a lot of hunt. Let's check my second town center and decide whether or not this is a town center which is going to benefit me and help me through the early game. Now I see this town center, and you can actually see in the mini map right now that there is nothing there, and that basically dictates my decision. Now potentially a different Ra player might try something different here, but I don't believe that this is going to be a map that I can win going for a 2-town center Dar build, going fast farm after seeing possibly not even a quarter of the map, probably 1/4 of the map, seeing 2 fairly large hunt spawns against Odin. I'm feeling a little bit scared of going for Tar here. So I'm already thinking right now, what sort of Bast strategy do I want to go for? And I've got a couple of options here to think about, and I don't have any information to go off. So it's all just a bit of a gamble, a bit of a guess. And so my first thought is, do I go for a classical bar strategy here where I go mass Sphinx immediately into Spearman and start running around the map and trying to hit raids and try and be annoying? My second thought is, do I just do a kind of 1 town center fast heroic through Hathor and trying to go into like a mass Batsukos or something like that, and then try and hit like a kind of timing with that, like I use Eclipse and Batsukos and try and push? Or do I go for a 1 town center Sphinx fast mythic, which I've fallen victim to many a times? I've lost many a game against a fast mythicking Ra player, and I thought, look, in the end, I lose to this strategy, so maybe Batuhann will lose to this strategy. So I'm going to go for a couple of Sphinx, 2 Sphinx, 3 Sphinx, depending on how everything goes in the early game. I'm going to try and eat a little bit of hunt, come back home, spam my farms, rain, try and get to the heroic age without raining would be good, and then go for a pretty brutal tornado locust Eclipse kind of push in the early stages of like 10 minutes into the game. Now I have done this strategy a couple of times against a couple of people in the past, but I haven't actually done it against a Norse player. Mostly I do this against Greek players, funnily enough, because I actually feel that Greek does have the hardest time against this strategy because they've only got themselves 2 heroes, whereas Odin, while the heroes are slow, he doesn't have ranged heroes. You don't really have to kill the Sphinx, you just have to deflect the Sphinx, as it were. Anyways, I got a little bit unlucky there with my deer getting stuck on the outskirts of the map. It's kind of a known bug, quote unquote, as it were. And I just decide, look, it's not going to be worth it to eat that deer. I'm just gonna walk to my next hunt. It's not too far, and we're gonna have to come here anyways. So I just decide to do that early while I'm not having to spend resources. Okay, so we get the classical age now. I'm going to drop an armory. I'm going to get my Sphinx out. You can see that that I perfectly have 18 favors. So for those of you out there who are trying to master kind of Bast play, If you do have the opportunity to have a really, really good map like I did for the start here, I do recommend doing this sort of a build where you go 1 monument, temple, monument, and that'll allow you to have 18 favor right at the 430 mark to get yourself 2 Sphinx. So I see the Valkyrie coming into my base and I say, okay, let's kill the Valkyrie with my Sphinx. No problems. If he turns around and fights me, I should be okay here. He drops Forest Fire here, and I move my villager, and I don't move my Sphinx. My Sphinx drops the special ability, and I can't move him. I was just too slow, literally, to click the Sphinx, and the special went off, and then it was just, oh, he's dead. And that effectively, that Forest Fire and that kind of, I can blame the game, I can blame myself, whatever you want to call it, that royally screws my ability to do the fast heroic strategy, because what it means is I've got 1 less myth unit running around the map harassing his economy, which means he has one less myth unit to worry about, which means he can start pressuring me when I don't want him to. So I'm already committed in a way to doing this strategy. I could have technically dropped a town center now, or drop some barracks or something like that as he runs in, pushes me off these chicken here. The towers get a little bit of damage, but I pull back. And I should really be thinking right now, where is he sending his army? This is something I did think, kind of. I was so set on getting to the heroic age, though, that I didn't actually pull off this hunt early enough, and he comes in and he's going to now get some villager kills, which with Bast, you should never, ever, ever lose villagers with Ra in the early game. This is super, super bad, and I'm already like max panicking right now. He's all over me. He's throwing away a little bit of population. I am able to advance, but I'm losing villagers. For some reason, my villagers decided to stop there. I'm fairly sure I clicked on the town center, but they decided to be a little bit plebby. Looks like I lost 2 villagers there, which isn't the worst, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not the worst. But mentally here, I'm looking like I need to get some value here, and I send my like quarter HP Sphinx forward. Super dumb. My villagers on the gold here, or wood here, getting pushed off. I do manage to get myself enough wood to get plow and to get pickaxe, but now I'm looking at this going, I don't have my 2 Sphinx, which should be enough for me to at least defend against this with the help of Pharaoh and Priest and maybe a Patsukos. I feel like my heroic age is actually decent, but I don't have my 2 Sphinx. I've lost all pressure, so he's allowed to attack me right now. So any dreams of me trying to get Mythic Age here are kind of on the back burner. So I have to change my strategy a little bit and think about what else I can do here. Now, unfortunately, this variant where you go for like Patsukos is not something that I rate against Norse kind of at all, but I do end up going for the early second Patsukos. I'm going for some rock raids. If this is on extended edition, for example, and you have the speedy rock, I rate this so much higher because it means you can get around and do so much more damage with the rock raids against the economy of your opponent here. And yeah, that's kind of it. So now I have the market down. I've got my villagers on gold and food, nothing on wood. And I'm just like, I need to do damage now. I absolutely need to do some form of damage to my opponent. My opponent's killed 2 villagers here. He's bound to be heading to the heroic age very, very shortly to have access to Frost and to have access to Frost Giants, more importantly, as I do pick off Ulfsark here, which is a nice little win, but still no villager kills, so still feeling a little bit like eek. So as soon as he hits the heroic age, the hill fort gets dropped onto the second gold mine, and then my rock raids get shut down. There's not a whole lot I can do there. Not only that, I do find these villagers over there, and I go for a locust, but you know, when you're playing, so I must note that my opponent and Punkstar are both on the other side of the world, so I'm probably playing at about 300 ping. That locust, if you're playing at 50 ping, is going to kill off all the villagers that run through there, but at 100 or at 200 plus ping, the kind of like prediction locusts, given the way that the game allows you to, where the game allows you to click locust, you can't predict locust. So going for that sort of a locust was actually really dumb, and I should know a little bit better. Yes, I would have had like maybe 6 villager kills here, which would have been a big deal, would have really helped me get back into the game. But instead I get none, and I'm still trying to work out how I'm going to deal with this pretty scary Norse army coming at me, given that I don't have a whole lot of economy here, and I need to secure a second gold mine. I think potentially here, this drop of the second Migdol may have been a mistake. I don't think I 100% needed a second Migdol. I should have been thinking more Patsukos at this point, and no Migdol, because in reality, if I have 2 Patsukos in my army and the cavalry, he's not going to be able to push me off that gold mine very easily. And I should be okay, but dropping that Migdol spends 400 gold and 10 favor. Could have had 3 Patsukos here, which would have been a really, really big deal. Right now. I'm also housed, which is a big dealio breaker. But I am getting some raids down, so that is making me very, very happy. I'm getting my farms in. Only got 8 farms on this reign, but I desperately need food. So I'm taking the inefficient reign here to attempt to bolster my economy a little bit and help me push in onto this gold mine. One thing that I really, really struggle with is in these situations when you're one town center Ra is dealing with Ragnarok, and this is something that I think most people don't have a whole lot of experience with, because a lot of the times you're completely fine to do 2 town center kind of fast reigns, and you got a lot of economy, and Ragnarok ends up it kind of just bounces off an Egyptian player. But in these situations, we're both one town center. I do have the priest empowerment economy to help out as Ra, but even so, the Norse economy is just straight better than the Egyptian economy. So he's going to be able to hit the mythic age before me a lot of the times, unless I get all this pressure done. So I can't just take my foot off the pedal and start grabbing town centers and trying to boom at this point. In my opinion, I feel like I just lose to a Ragnarok, and all the gold mines are forward. So I am very, very scared now as he is hitting the heroic age, and I say, okay, I got 2 options here. I can mass units and just kind of pray, or I can attempt to hit the mythic age here and get some value out of Tornado. In hindsight here, I think Son of Osiris may have been the better option. He didn't have any counter to the rock at all. He didn't have any throw-in axemen. So my Son of Osiris could have been max value, which would have been worth more than, say, the 700 damage to a town center. But it's still going to be good. I'm still going to have a lot of favor for my what do you call it, Avengers to come through here, and we should be okay. But we do see the units coming in now, trying to push me off this gold mine. I cast Eclipse to block Frost here because he was going to use Frost on my villagers and on my army at this point, which was a little bit too scary for me. Him sitting underneath this gold mine is also incredibly terrifying to boot here. I do have another gold mine off the side, and I do notice that I can send my units over there as the Eclipse is still coming down. I don't have any units in my army here, so this is absolutely awful at this point, and I'm going to try and do some rock micro here to try and snipe down the Frost Giants, but Frost Giants are arguably, they are the best heroic age myth unit for a reason. They cost next to no resources, same too as the Patsukos, but they have tons of HP, and they're a unit killing machine. It's a very, very tough unit to beat, and yeah, this is a mistake. Going through Horus, I don't have any line of sight on his town center for an immediate tornado, but it's I mean, he could possibly hit Fimbulwinter here. I don't know what he's got right now. I feel like I'm probably, maybe before this fight, I was probably equal on villages. After this fight, not so much. And honestly, either Osiris here for mummies, or stay in the heroic age and get my heavy cavalry would have really helped in that fight there. So I need to get a little bit better at noticing exactly what my opponent's, or knowing exactly what my opponent's capable of, and dealing with that. I do get my Avenger onto his dwarves over there, so I'm still harassing his economy nicely. I'm still keeping him behind. He's getting damage onto me. We're both kind of killing each other, but he's got more military upgrades than me, and I'm just kind of sitting in this mythic age. So the only real advantage that I have over him at this point, in terms of just tangibilities in this game, things that I have access to me, things that he doesn't have access to, is I've got a mythic age myth unit available and he doesn't. So I'm looking at this going, I've got to make Avengers and make them work somehow against Frost Giants, which is difficult to say the very least. Frost Giants, you can run away from them with the Avengers, but by the time your Avenger walks into the line of sight of a Frost Giant, you have to effectively click in maybe 1 or 2 seconds, maybe 1.5 seconds of that Avenger getting into line of sight of the Frost Giant, click away from the Frost Giant. Otherwise, the Frost Giant is a lot of the time going to be able to freeze that Avenger and kill him. And I'm trying to test fate here by running in and getting a spinny. I do get it, and I get out, and that's wonderful. But you can see I am potentially, well, I'm going to be okay for the moment. But it's such a risky, tough thing to do here. I pick up my dudes, and I'm still good. And honestly, at this point, I really should be realizing kind of what state I'm in. I have done a lot of damage here, and I feel like maybe the best call is to just back off and solidify. But I'm just a little bit villager hungry here. I'm still scared about Ragnarok. My army strength is mostly in why did I drop that Avenger there? My army strength is mostly in myth units at this point. So yeah, I'm a little bit scared as his raiding cavalry coming through. I'm trying to find villager kills. I do find a nice one in that corner over there as I'm trying to build this town center on the side. And I do get all those villager kills over there. He is still one town center, so every single villager kill you kind of get in these situations is a big deal. Trying to micro kind of 3 different areas of units is a little bit much for me. But I'm trying to give it a go. It's a lot of fun playing like this. This is my favorite playstyle. Nice and chaotic. Just doing everything I can. And right now I'm doing something which, in reality, kind of makes no sense. But it has to be correct because he's got a potential for I'm just constantly thinking, what about the Ragnarok? What about the Ragnarok? I have to prepare for it. And I'm getting my upgrades. I don't know why my Avengers didn't spin there, but I do manage to pick them up and pull back there as my Chariot Arch is getting kind of roasted. I have to make Chariot Archers in this composition because I just don't have the food. I don't have the gold to make the farms, and I don't have, and the farms are a little bit expensive here. I'm trying to micro this, but it's just a difficult thing. I should stay in this fight. I think I've got an Avenger in that rock there that I didn't drop, which is a big mistake, because if that's out, then I can at least get some good damage done onto the Frost Giant. So maybe I'm misrepresenting what was actually happening here, but I can pick up that. Oh, there's the third Avenger there. So if he has 2 Frost Giants and I have 3 Avengers, I can engage because one of my Avengers is going to be able to take down one of his Frost Giants while the other ones are getting slapped down by the Frost Giants, and they're going to be kind of fine here. You can kind of see that happening now in this fight here. He gets a couple of whacks onto my other Avenger, but that Frost Giant is going to fall. So there is a way around this with the Avenger. It looks like he did actually kill off the Avenger, but there is a way around the Frost Giants with these mass Avengers. It's just I'm not executing here. Batuhann now gets himself his second town center, which does give me a slight reprieve in terms of he can't get to the mythic age here very soon. But what's the answer right now? Quite clearly, the answer is I should be figuring a way to take all my villagers off of wood right now and throw them all onto food, because I should be making either spearmen or cavalry at this point, and I'm just not. I'm relying very, very heavily on these Avengers to do some serious work, and they are trading really, really nicely, but the chariot archers just aren't cutting it. I even get heavy chariots here, which is probably a fairly big mistake. Instead, just sell all the wood. Literally sell all the wood right now and make 16 farms. Would have been a really, really good way to play into like mass spearmen. Maybe stop Avenger production and go into the Horus spearmen to some degree in an effort to try and stabilize here. And try and counter his army composition. I am trying to get these spearmen out, but I in the moment I just can't really work out the right play. I'm watching it now and I go, well, I got 13 villagers on wood. That would be really, really well utilized on food at this point. And I'd be in a much better position. I could throw down a couple more barracks here. I'm still trying to get this Avenger in to get some damage done onto those villages, because still in the back of my mind, all I'm thinking is I got to kill villagers. I have to kill villagers, and he makes an incredible raid here. Really smart sense that I'll be over on that side. He's actually checked my other gold mine a couple of times, and I was really tempting fate right there without having anything on that location. I do have units out, but now I got these spearmen. They're kind of unupgraded, and technically speaking, his heavy raiders probably beat my medium spearmen at this point. They need a little bit more upgradage to get an advantage here. But he comes in onto this town center, and this isn't something that I've experienced all too much. And it's an opponent ransacking a town center with tons of farms. And the more I play this game, the more aggro people are getting in certain situations, and it makes me feel like maybe there's room for a little bit more thought about where your farms are going rather than just onto a town center, especially a town center this far away from your base. I think potentially here it would have been a smarter idea to try and put the farms kind of inside of my main base and just build granaries. I don't think that it matters that they would have walked there. Probably lose out on maybe 100 food total in the end of the day if I send all kind of 12, 11 farms over there. I also find another gold mine here, which would have been really, really nice to have been on. Would have probably saved some villages. But in this moment, I'm just pushed off gold. I've got no military left, and I genuinely believe his economy is fairly strong here. He's still on farms. He's got plenty of farms here, and yeah, I think that this one is well and truly done. If you can look at the disappointed face of Boit here, that's the way the cookie crumbles. Anyways, if you guys enjoyed this game, please consider hitting the follow on the Twitch. If you're on the YouTube, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next game.